What's going on, everyone? So one of the teams that could potentially solve a lot of needs for the Los Angeles Lakers are the Orlando Magic. Now, we know Orlando, they're probably going to make some other moves, right? Ideally for them in their pursuit to compete in a very wide open Eastern Conference, right? You have the Boston Celtics, who are probably going to be in a little bit of a hiatus year. They're looking to maybe trade some key pieces on that roster and kind of retool. Obviously you'll have Cleveland and Indiana and the Knicks, but Orlando very well could be in the mix of it. They went and got Desmond Bane, who is an excellent pickup for them, kind of fits a big need and a big role for that team. But Orlando's a team that they have to, and I mean like as soon as this trade deadline at the latest, have to make some moves to potentially shed some salary. And the reason for that is that they are $17 million under the second apron, so they're fine right now, but Paolo Banchero is going into a contract year. They're going to have to pay him, and it's very possible, depending on how this year shapes up, he could end up, being all NBA, something like that. So he's a guy that's very likely going to make 40 plus million a year, which means that they would be potentially very heavily, and that's just counting him, very heavily into that second apron, right? So they're a team that may have to make some decisions. And look, they just traded for Desmond Bane, so obviously he's going to be a big piece. Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, right? They have those three guys as like their core, right? Beyond that, it's just kind of what direction do they want to go with certain guys, right? Like what guys do they value over others, right? What is the approach? And I've talked about, Orlando potentially being the best trade option for the Los Angeles Lakers. Well, could the Lakers maybe work something out to get 1, 2, 3 pieces from a team like the Orlando Magic, who the Lakers, by the way, could end up being Orlando's best friend? One, Lakers have made several trades throughout the history with Orlando, right? And two, the Lakers have the expiring contracts. So it's like, hey, you're going to have to pay Paolo Banchero. Well, we can trade you, Rui Hachimura and Maxi Kleber and some of these guys, right? Obviously, they're not going to want to get rid of any of like the key core guys, but like a Jalen Suggs. Could you maybe get a Jalen Suggs who's making, 30 plus million a year? And it's like, hey, maybe get off his contract. Yes, he's excellent defensively, but you need better playmaking, right? Like you could probably use a better kind of, playmaker. You have the defense, you have all those things. Would they maybe part with a Jalen Suggs? Even not, right? Like, okay, well, Wendell Carter Jr., right? He's the guy that's inching into a contract year. So, could you maybe get him? Right, Goga is another piece. Maybe you could just solve your center position in that manner, right? Or Jonathan Isaac is another guy that I've talked about, right? Jonathan Isaac, I think, would be great if you could get Jonathan Isaac and Wendell Carter Jr., and now you have that just versatile, switchable defensive wing that's 6'10", that could slot in basically 3 through 5 for you and be that defensive piece, and then go get that, center essentially, and they still would have multiple guys that they could, if they want to keep Goga, they'd have Goga, they have Mo Wagner, right? They have several guys that they could still have, not counting, whatever other moves and trades or anything else that they potentially do, right? Orlando's probably going to maybe make some other trades, but regardless, they might need to make those trades to shed salary. Now, again, they don't have to necessarily do it this offseason, right? They could kind of go into the year, evaluate, see what kind of guys they really want to stick around. Okay, maybe, they're like, hey, you know what? Goga's taking some strides, or Wagner's taking some strides, or maybe a center becomes available that they just like more than those guys, so maybe the Lakers get involved, right? Like, I'm not saying that necessarily Orlando has to do and make these moves this offseason, right? But come the trade deadline, it's a very real possibility, right? It's very possible that Orlando is one of those teams that we should keep an eye on. Now, obviously, it depends on what the Lakers do till that time, right? Now, if you can make some moves with Orlando right now, then make the moves with Orlando right now. But there's also a real potential that, they don't want to do anything like that, like any salary shedding moves or anything until they kind of evaluate this year with a Desmond Bain, with a full year of like everybody together, or half a year, whatever, and where are they at in the standings and whatnot. That's a very real possibility, right? And then at that point, the Lakers could end up being a team that they might have already solved everything. Right? If they already go trade for Nick Claxton, well, then you don't really need a Goga and a Wendell Carter Jr., right? But again, maybe you could go work out a Jalen Suggs. Do you look to maybe take Austin Reeves and go, hey, again, you got a Desmond Bain, you got, all these defense, but you got guys what you could use is a better playmaker, right? The problem is a lot of the offense kind of flows through Franz as well as Paolo Banchero, right? So Jalen Suggs operates as their point guard, but he's not out there, wheeling and dealing. He's not like the playmaking point guard, right? Because he's just basically the guy that will bring the ball up, be the initiator. It's part of the reason why they went and got a guy in Desmond Bain who can make some moves or make some plays for others as well, right? He's not Austin Reeves level, but he's a guy that can, run the basics, do the basics, right? Be a swing man. But a lot of their offense just runs through when Paolo Banchero and Franz, right? So would somebody like an Austin Reeves be necessary for them, right? But again, their playmaking or the lack thereof has been kind of a question mark. It's been one of the bigger question marks for that team the last few years as they're kind of trying to figure some stuff out, making some tool moves and whatnot. Right? It's what are the value on certain guys? How do they value guys? But Wendell Carter Jr., there was trade talks last offseason around the trade deadline, right? To where, hey, maybe he could be an option, right? Jonathan Isaac, we know that they're shopping. They're shopping guys for sure. So it's could maybe potentially the Lakers kind of make a play. If I'm Rob Pelinka, I'm at least picking up the phone. If I'm Rob Pelinka, I'm at least hey, where are you at with Jonathan Isaac? Where are you at with, Wendell Carter Jr.? Is there maybe something there that we can kind of work on, right? Because again, Lakers have exactly what Orlando needs. Yes, they don't have all the picks and all this other stuff, but it's hey, your biggest need is to shed some salary. Your three main guys are Franz, Bain, and Paolo. Fine, keep them. We're not after any of those guys. But what about all the other guys, right? Jalen Suggs is the guy I'd really try to get after. You're talking about one of the best on-ball defenders in all of basketball, one of the best guard defenders in all of basketball. He is ideal slotted in next to Luka. That's the guy. That's the guy. Really, if you could get a Jalen Suggs and a Wendell Carter Jr., I'd probably give up whatever you have to go get those guys, right? Because again, Jalen Suggs gives you that legit 3-and-D style guard that's slotted alongside Luka and LeBron that can initiate. He is everything this team needs, literally. And then go get a guy in Wendell Carter Jr. who gives you that skilled big that can do, multiple things. And it's hey, Jalen Suggs got multiple years on his deal, making $30+ million. You're going to have to pay Wendell Carter Jr. here pretty soon. You're going to be, just Paolo Banchero's deal alone is going to put you in the second apron. Just his deal alone is going to put you in that luxury tax, right? So, are you going to be one of the highest payroll teams in all of basketball as the fourth team in the East, right? No, can you kind of spin it in a way to where maybe they're willing to, but again, it's just, would they make those moves right now is the question. Maybe, right? Maybe they, a lot of teams, they want to get their roster set. A lot of teams, especially a team like Orlando that's trying to be in the mix in the Eastern Conference and be a team that maybe can go on a run like Indiana and now we're in the NBA Finals, right? Orlando's a team that's trying to make some strides to do that. So it might be in their best interest to go, you know what? Let's get all this stuff out of the way now so that way we can, get into the season and our team's in order. And then if we want to make any minor move, if we want to make any minor changes, then we can do as such, right? Rather than okay, we're going to go in, to the season, and then now we're going to make a big swing trade or a big move or whatever. Yeah, they might look at it in the sense of hey, let's kind of get who we're having this season together, right? Let's get that right, and then kind of take it from there, right? It's just, what would that team want? What would that team be looking for? right? I think a Rui Hachimura makes some sense as a guy off the bench for them. Like obviously Austin Reeves makes some sense. They don't really need guards. Their guard play is pretty good outside of, like I said, in Austin Reeves, just because, the playmaking, right? So like a Gabe Vincent, I don't really think makes sense for them. But if they're trading a big man, maybe a Maxi Kleber, floor stretching, one of the things that they need desperately is 3-point shooting, right? So, Maxi Kleber, Dalton Connect is a guy that they could really use, right? So maybe you could kind of do something, work something out where, you're adding, like, hey, you need more shooting. Here's another shooter in Dalton Connect, who's young and can be a foundation piece and is going to be cheap for the next few years for you, right? So maybe that could be an incentive. Like, hey, we got some expiring contracts. We can get you Dalton Connect's contract, right? And, that's the equivalent of a first and all that stuff. Right? Maybe you give up some other assets. Again, it's just, to me, it just depends on, what is Orlando looking for outside of shooting, right? And because I don't think that they're just going to want a pure salary shed, but again, if they're not where they want to be come the trade deadline, it's possible. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Best question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you want to like this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.